Horizon Just Homes UX, and this is America's secret underground cheese bunkers. Watch out, the fat electrician. Is this a joke? Is this real? First of all, America and cheese bunkers. Like, it's just like feels right at home, isn't it? Of course, America has cheese bunkers with billions and pounds of whatever size it is. How is this a thing, and how the fuck this is the first time hearing it? How the fuck this is the only channel I've seen covering it, if this is the case? Like, one thing America's known for is cheese, isn't it? Again, this one thing I love about that. I love cheese as well. So, yeah, how the fuck you keep it? Like, what are there, like, that big freezers there? Like, I don't know. I feel like by the end of it, the, like, context is going to be different. But if it's literal bunkers filled with cheese as a storage, yeah, that's going to be insane. The Fat Electrician is a great fucking channel. Recently, I've seen it in every single thing. And first of all, one thing I didn't notice before, but recently just, with the latest video, notice it. The way he tells the story with the right type of editing and the emphasis that I put on it is really like a pro level. Like, it's really perfect, right? Because if somebody makes this same type of video the same way with the same transcripts but different way, it won't have much impact. Like, he has knowledge of how to, let's say, filmmaking or video making, whatever. Like, he knows when to say it, how to put emphasis, how to do the editing, which is like great. It's like subtle. You really have to look out for it. Right, let's go this one. Remember, if you like my next one, don't forget to subscribe. So I know which type of videos to react to more. Check out the next Sunday. There's a link in the description. And other Fat Electrician reaction update. Check out the end card. If you can find anything else, it will be there. And yeah, let's watch it.
This has almost nothing to do with the U.S. military, but it's so ridiculous I can't not talk about it.
Okay, he's
Today
telling
we're
us
talking
about
about
US
America's
military, is that it?
strategic cheese reserve. Yeah, if you didn't know, the United States currently has over 500 underground cave warehouses spanning across 35 different states.
Look at this shit, what the fuck? Look at this, people. Like, I'm surrounded by cheese. Take a selfie. That's the first thing I would do.
The largest of which is underneath Springfield, Missouri, where America, as of August 2022, currently hoards 1.5 billion pounds of cheese. And just for the record, I realize
How many cows that got milked for in order to make this? I mean, I know there are way too many cows. Like, number is like fucking ridiculous. So it kind of makes sense.
I'm uploading this video very close to April Fool's Day. This is not an April Fool's joke. I am 100% serious. El Dorado is real.
He posted this as 2nd April. Oh God, this is so perfect. This is so fucking perfect. Which means that literal people watch this hoping that this is like April Fool's Day, basically seeing from the title, it is April Fool's Day. By the end of it, like, what the fuck, this was real?
Uncle Sam made it out of cheese.
Look, El Dorado, the city of gold.
And I know what you're thinking. Right now, you're like, wow, that's a cool little factoid. I can't wait to share that with my buddy at the bar one day. But no, this is going to infect your thoughts for the rest of your life. You're never going to see the world through the same lens ever again.
No.
I mean, for example, let's just say you're at home watching The Walking Dead. You're going to come to the realization there'd be way more fucking cheese in the apocalypse than that, okay? You're never going to be able to watch Mad Max again without thinking about cheese. You have to come to the terrifying realization that you live in a world where there is a greater than 0% chance that one of these underground cheese caves gets mistaken for a government facility and gets nuked in World War III, and we're gonna have to deal with a radioactive tsunami wave of nacho cheese. And this is real life. So I asked myself one question.
First of all, cheese are really calorie dense. In post-apocalyptic scenario, that is one of the first fuel that people go for. And it's like a lot of cheese, like billions of pounds or whatever he said. That's a lot. Right? Even for 300 million people, even that is a fucking lot of cheese. Right? So, yeah, see, he's right. Like, all the I hope like someone like Fallout 5 or something addresses this. Right? Like, I can expect something from Bethesda games to at least, right? And some of the small things they do is like this, local thing, right? In West Virginia, whatever, they realize what local thing is with underground bunkers and shit. I hope they recognize something like that, and I highly doubt there's going to be a game in Missouri, but I don't know. That would be so insane.
And how on earth did America get to this point? Because I know it didn't happen overnight. And what I found was the craziest real-world example of a butterfly effect that I have ever seen. And believe it or not, it all actually ties back in with last week's video of the ice cream ships of World War II. If you missed that, the super abbreviated version, basically the US government banned alcohol during Prohibition in the 1920s. Because of that, all the bars in America turned themselves into ice cream parlors to stay in business. Ice cream stepped up to fill the social void left by alcohol. If so facto, there was like 2 generations of Americans that treated ice cream like it was alcohol, socially speaking. As I'm sure you can imagine, this was
Seriously, people. Like I was recently thinking this. It's not ice cream, it's sugar. Sugar has this like a release mechanism that makes you feel good because it's pure glucose. Your body's like, oh, you're doing something good, you're feeding me energy. But it also has a crash because it's like pure glucose, basically pure energy. So as soon as it crashes, you will want to eat sugar again. So people used to nowadays people use alcohol as a numbing thing or feel good thing or whatever, right? And in the few decades ago, people think like, why is there obesity problem now? Everybody's fat. That was not the case a few decades ago. Look at the people in 80s and 70s. Yeah, but there were a much higher numbers of all the different type of drugs people are taking it. It's not just about the ODing problem and the drug problem. It's like people who recreationally using drugs and were using it fine without having problems were much higher. As soon as people start to be healthy, they also start to stop doing drugs, and now like they needed something to feel good because that's how society is. It's everything fucking depressing in a way, right? If you're not mentally stable enough, which is like most people are not going to be, just knowing how life is, people are gonna need something, and as soon as you eat sugar, like, oh, this feels good, and you'll be hooked. But that's why it's addictive. Same thing with ice cream, right? People who were drinking alcohol needed something to feel good or numb themselves. There was nothing for numb themselves, they just eat ice cream. That makes sense.
would drive up dairy consumption. Combine that with the fact that the 30s and 40s is when refrigeration would become readily accessible, meant that for the first time in human history there was such a demand for dairy products that farmers could exclusively become dairy farmers, meaning that this would be the birth of the entire dairy industry. And honestly, it worked out great. Right up until it didn't in 1949. 1949, 4 years after World War II, the American military is downsized, there's not an entire horde of young men eating 10,000 calories a day, and America's not exporting anywhere near as much food to other countries for war relief, meant that there was a decrease in dairy consumption, or a dip in the dairy market. As this became a bigger and bigger problem, the government had to step in because they weren't about to let the entire dairy industry implode, because I mean, let's face it, that would be utter catastrophe. So the US...
So let me get this straight. Government got in, they actually paid money to so this business don't go out of commission or whatever. All the cheese they made, they took it and stored it because where they're gonna go, nobody's there to eat it. Is that it?
FDA stepped in and said, hey, you know what? We're gonna buy all the excess milk. Okay, pause. Thought experiment. You're a dairy farmer. You make all of your money by selling milk. And then suddenly, a couple years back, motherfuckers quit drinking milk, aka you made less money. Now the government has come out of left field and said, hey, we're gonna buy all of the milk. What do? You make more fucking milk. And that's exactly what happened. So just to be clear, there was already too much milk. Now there's definitely gonna be too much milk. So naturally, all the milk starts flowing in. The government has absolutely no idea what to do with it, so they turn it into cheese, that way it doesn't expire. That part makes sense, but now what do you do with all the cheese? They have no clue, so they just throw it underneath a mountain, ignore it, and hope the problem goes away. But
that basically encompasses the entire US government. Or any government, but we're talking about US. Everybody's like, US is so secretive, they have like Area 51, this and that, like say million of employees are like, has pledge of secrecy and nobody's gonna spill anything. Really? Have you ever seen how these governments work? Like look at the COVID relief of $1 trillion, how that shit worked. Like when you see like that, you're like, okay, even a smallest logistical company would have done it better than how government did it. Same thing here. Can they basically track like how many milk was already there and see if the milk flow is rising and tell this dairy farmer, I'm trying to help you out, not to make you money. Stop making more milk. Just chill the fuck out. What you have, I'm trying to buy that. But no, they're just like, I'm going to buy all the milk. And they just start to make more milk. Government's like, I don't know what to do. Just took everything.
it doesn't go away because every single presidential administration through the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, they all continue to buy up excess milk to prop up the dairy industry, turn it into cheese, and stash it away in these caves. It literally turns into a giant political game of kick. kick the can down the road because nobody wants to be the president that crashes the global economy by not buying enough milk while sitting on top of a mountain of cheese, which, understandable, I don't want to be that guy either. Then, fast forward to 1980, Ronald Reagan, aka the small government guy, gets elected, finds out that the US government is sitting on top of 500 million pounds of cheese and spending $1 million a day to refrigerate and store it, and he looks at this whole issue like a beaver looks at running water. Absolutely fucking not. We can't have it. So his administration goes about figuring out the cheapest way to solve this cheese problem.
Sell it.
Obviously, we're going to throw it all in the ocean. However, having at least the foresight to understand that that would cause political backlash, he wanted to see how the public would receive it. So someone from
I mean, what? Every poor guy in the world, no, not poor, every hungry people in Africa and everywhere wasn't hungry at that time or something. I mean, I get it. You would have more, like, you have to spend more money just to transport it, but I don't know. It's still better to throw it than throw it away. I don't know. I try to sell it to countries. Pretty sure countries would buy it, right? There are going to be countries like, oh, right, we'll buy it. Like, you can make this like an economical driver. I don't know. You're already storing it. It's better. Why would you throw away cheese?
from his administration shows up to a White House press conference with a 5-pound block of moldy cheese and is like, hey, we got 500 million pounds of this shit. How would you guys feel if we threw it in the ocean? It'll be fun. We'll save money on cheese. We're going to find out if blue whales are lactose intolerant. It's going to be a great science experiment. The public did not go for it. They kind of felt like, hey, I've paid taxes for the last 40 years. You've turned those taxes into cheese.
I was going to say that people don't want to buy cheese, and yet people are still paying for it. Government didn't just made money out of the fucking blue. They still use people's money. And now, oh, yeah, we didn't use it right. That money is literally like, that's just fucked up.
At least like the cheese. So then the Reagan administration took the 55-gallon drums of cheese, cut it up into 5-pound blocks, packaged it, and spent the remainder of his administration funneling 300 million pounds of cheese into impoverished and elderly homes. And this is where we get the saying, government cheese, from.
You're gonna end up eating a steady diet of government cheese and living in a van down by the river.
The U.S. government would then continue to give out government cheese until the 1990s when they seemingly ran out, because as of today, all 1.5 billion pounds of underground secret cheese in America is privately owned by corporations like Kraft and Velveeta. And this is the part where I wanted to end the video on a happy note of the government made a mistake, they fixed a mistake over 50 years, happy ending. Hooray. However, it didn't really make sense because something happened in the 1990s where the government was able to stop buying the excess milk. What happened? And that's when it hit me. It was absolutely the Got Milk ad campaign, the biggest, most iconic ad campaign of all time. I mean, every cafeteria and every school in America had a bunch of posters of famous athletes with milk mustaches saying, "Got milk, drink your milk." I vividly remember commercials as a child telling me that if I didn't drink enough milk, my arms would literally fall off my body.
Well, Mr. Miller told me he never drinks milk. Look at him.
Oh, that's not good.
Got milk.
Surely this is what inspired an entire
God milk is so insane. Seriously, all the version of it, right? All the memes and joke of it.
generation of Americans to eat and drink more dairy products, right? I mean, yeah, probably, but looking back on it now as an adult, doesn't it seem just a little bit weird that it wasn't a particular company putting on all these ads? Like, if there wasn't...
See, this is not right, because even the tinfoil people would not make a proper trucker type of hat. It would just be cone hat. That's the whole point of it. The cone is the part. You don't put this much effort to make it look like that.
One company profiting from selling all this milk, where was all the money coming from? I mean, it almost seems like the government launched a giant psychological operation, ad campaign, just so that they could offload milk so they wouldn't have to keep contributing to their mountain of cheese. Well, I'm going to take this off now because that's legit exactly what happened. In 1995, the U.S. government created a nonprofit organization known as Dairy Management Incorporated, and their entire job was to get the American people to eat and drink more dairy products. Literally a cabal of individuals plotting behind the scenes to get people to eat more cheese. It's the cheesiest conspiracy of all time, and I'm not even kidding.
When you put it like that, it feels like a fucking Illuminati level of shit. But the point is this. Dairy business is American business. It affects American people. It employs American people. So that doesn't go out of business. So American people don't lose their job. Government did this. Now they have cheese. Now they're going to create an organization that promotes average people, so rather than spending that money on some other shit like alcohol or shit, drink milk and cheese. It's like a promotional thing, and it kind of work. Is that really bad? I don't see, like, they didn't force somebody, right? They didn't drop milk in every food they could find without telling American people. That's all deceiving. Is trying to promote to people like drink more milk, so we can basically go off of this shit. That's not really bad. Not to mention, this government is making sure the American people don't go out of job, and American people's money basically doesn't get wasted. That's all they're doing, right? So is this really conspiracy level? I don't know.
Anything that has ever been sold or marketed that involved way too much cheese on it, this company is behind. Okay, they're the reason that Taco Bell started selling steak quesadillas. They were behind the Got Milk ad campaign. In 2002, when Pizza Hut had the Summer of Cheese event where they put way too much cheese on all their pizzas, this is who was behind it.
I mean, it's the capitalist America. That's the first rule of capitalism, right? Basically thinking about business and basically quarterly profits and whatever. Whether you're non-profit or not, your mentality is the same. Like, you have a job to promote to people. There is no barrier how much you can do and can't do. Your job is to promote to people any means necessary. Now, you can go out of hand with it, like they probably did, promote it too much, created campaigns that made milk and cheese too much, that become a problem where everything is covered in cheese. But the goal wasn't that, right? That's just how it became. Goal wasn't that. Goal was, like I said, was not really in a bad way.
2010, when Domino's almost went out of business, they gave Domino's $12 million to stay in business, and then gave them a bunch of cheese so that they could put extra cheese on all of their pizzas, and that was their entire proposition for staying in business. Hey, our pizzas have more cheese on them now, so they're good. It is absolutely insane. So I did it. I found the world's cheesiest conspiracy, but then I found leaked internal documents from DMI.
Oh, for
and they are
fuck's
the
sake.
funniest fucking thing I have ever read in my entire life. I'm gonna go ahead and read one for you now. It's a letter from Pizza Hut to DMI regarding a meeting they recently had. July 6, 1999. Dear Greta, we wanted to express...
Just there's a Pizza Hut logo. Is it? I don't know why that's so funny. It's like Pizza Hut, this is symbol, and talking about this secretive shit. Like, okay, you're gonna have some secret talk or whatever. Like, this was a leaked document, so this was a secret, meeting or something. You don't have to put commercial logo there. Like, oh, it's Pizza Hut.
Our thanks once again for a wonderful meeting last week. We appreciate your team taking the time to share some very valuable information and creativity during our brainstorming session. Everyone is very excited about the presentation you gave regarding DMI's available resources and cheese industry insights. We look forward to working together to develop many cheese ideas we've discussed. We believe this is going to be a valuable partnership for both Pizza Hut and DMI. Let's
No more
sell more
cheese.
pizza and more cheese!
God, another
Exclamation
cheese.
point. Thank you again for coming to Dallas. We look
No
forward
more
to talking
cheese.
to you soon about our partnership opportunities. We will call you next week to discuss
Thank
the
God
next
there's
steps.
no more cheese.
Sincerely, Derek, Lord of the Cheese,
Oh, for
and
fuck's
Liskren,
sake.
Lady of the Cheese. Even they know that this is a
This is insane. By the last sentence, I'm like, I hope there's no more cheese in here. And I read all the way here, like, oh, thank God there's no cheese. But I didn't read it here, down there, Lord of the Cheese. Like, there's way too many cheese in this letter, man. I wouldn't be surprised if this paper is half cheese. This fucking thing is insane.
the cheese. Why is this such a joke? Well, because Dairy Management Incorporated, while it is a non-profit, they don't actually have to raise money for themselves like most non-profits do, because they're also a government checkoff program, which means every dairy farmer in America is legally required, whether they want to or not, to send this company money so that they can advertise on their behalf. And their annual budget is like $140 million a year, with their CEO and top-level executives all making right around $1 million per year. Okay, if you're not picking up what I'm putting down, I'm trying to tell you there is a group of people in America getting paid $1 million to convince Americans that cheese is awesome. Okay, that's like trying to fucking explain to Stevie Wonder what nothing looks like and getting paid $1 million for it. He already fucking knows that, okay? It makes no goddamn sense. Cheese is so fucking good that it is the one thing on earth that if you were allergic to it, we're not going to say you have a cheese allergy. No, you're lactose intolerant. We're not going to say you're allergic because we all know you're going to eat that shit anyways because the consequences are worth it. Am I upset right now? A little bit. Is it because I'm jealous? Uh-huh. It's basically selling ass candles to dogs and getting paid $1 million for it. It is the most ridiculously easy job on the planet, and I'm so mad that it's not mine. Anyways, I guess if you made it this far in the Unhinged TED Talk, in conclusion, the US government banned alcohol in the 1920s. It set forth a ripple effect through time, and now some dude in 2023 has my dream job of making $1 million a year to convince people of some shit they already knew. And the US has 1.5 billion pounds of cheese hidden in an underground cave network. Fucking the more you know, I guess. Thanks for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch.
Yeah. But then again, there are way too many lobbying firms, like even alcohol has it. Alcohol doesn't need much of anything, right? People are going to drink, they're going to drink it. So yeah, cheese thing makes sense, but I'm pretty sure it's not just cheese, it's all dairy all around, isn't it? Now, like I said, I'm pretty sure government's whole mentality was, I'm bailing you out, so you can pay for this lobbying firm or whatever. Are they lobbying firm or are they just like promoters? I don't know. Must be lobbying as well, I don't know. But, you can basically pay them. So it's just like, they're going to... America has this thing like as much as autonomy as possible away from government. If there is an business, like tree of business, whatever, basically multiple businesses that can be put into one category, they can basically pay for certain things, to promote the capitalism, basically. Now, obviously, that goes out of hand, right? Like, if your whole job is to just promote one thing, doesn't matter what, you're going to have that singular goal, and that's going to have a problem, right? Doesn't matter how many people are going to get unhealthy, eat too many cheese, people are going to promote it. The point is, like, there is no, let's just say, predatory promoting here. It's just promoting, like, eat cheese and using creative ways to eat cheese, add got milk and shit like that. That's not really bad, right? So, yeah. It's like Bill Burr once said, right? If you're going to go to McDonald's and order a fucking 100 cheeseburgers, they're going to give you 100 cheeseburgers. It's not their job to worry about you. But yeah, it can become a problem. But like, he is true, right? It's somebody's dream job. Like, here, eat cheese. Yeah, we're going to do it. But yeah. Well, that was America's Secret Underground Cheese Bunkers. Makes sense. Now it makes sense, right? Bailing out a certain business is it is why America would have that much cheese underground. But yeah, America has history of that, trying to conserve business. And I guess it worked. America is the biggest economy in the world, so I guess they did something right. That kind of mentality does work. If you save a failing business or businesses, there's a chance they might, jump back again, which they do. I mean, how many cheese are the reason that America's economies are like McDonald's, Domino's, Pizza Hut, anything you think of that has cheese in it. This is probably the reason, right? And this is the reason why they make money as well. If you like what I do, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.